Now, let's talk a little bit of relationships right now, if we can. Arguably, the most famous divorce, the most famous relationship in the world, certainly over the last year, has been the saga that is Tom Brady and Giselle.
Yes.
And I've been very clear that Tom Brady's going to be okay, and best of luck to Giselle finding the next Tom Brady. I don't think it exists. I know some people say, well, what do you mean? She deserves to be happy, which she does. You don't think Tom Brady's going to be, going to miss her? It's like, we'll see. He's messing with a pretty decent looking chick these days, allegedly. But let's start with Giselle, and then we'll go to Tom, and then we'll kind of just weave this all in together. So Giselle, if we can go to this article about what she was paid to go to a 3-hour event at the carnival in Brazil. Okay, the other article. We'll get to that in a second. So this right there, go to the top. So Giselle gets a millionaire payday by attending Brazil's carnival for 3 hours. Okay, allegedly she was paid $2 million for 3 hours. Okay, so that's about $700K an hour. Not a bad deal, Giselle. And I have to admit, if we can go to those pictures, Giselle was looking pretty good.
She was looking great. Look at her abs. She looks phenomenal. She doesn't have Tom Brady anymore and they're not together, but I mean, she's doing her thing. What is she supposed to do? Go live in a disastrous life because she doesn't have Tom Brady anymore? Look at her. She's like, call me. I'm getting that money.
Okay. And by the way, by the looks of that, I think many of you would call her. I'll tell you where you would not call her is the other look that she basically graced the cover of Vogue at. You know how they say, Drake says, you ain't a model unless you've been on the cover of Vogue? Yeah. Well, look at the cover of Vogue that she was just on, if we can push in on that. This, my friends, is not hot. There's nothing sexy about this. This pale, makeup skin with the all red, with the red wig, dyed hair.
But it's Vogue.
But she made it on Vogue.
It's Vogue.
Okay. I don't know. Nothing hot about that. But Giselle seems to be doing her thing. Now, Tom, there was a story that actually leaked about Tom Brady and what he's been dealing with. And his old coach and general manager, Bruce Arians, weighed in on this. If we can go to that article, I believe it's from the New York Post. He says, listen, Tom Brady just wasn't himself throughout that final season. Okay? He says that the real Tom Brady just wasn't out there. Will the real Tom Brady please stand up? Shout out to Eminem. But no shit. You're dealing with arguably the most public divorce possibly ever. Okay? In the middle of the season, you're just a year removed from a Super Bowl. Right. You were supposed to retire. You came back. Your wife basically initiated a divorce the second that you came back. Your offensive line sucks. You're getting sacked. You're getting beat up. You don't have a winning record. You make it to the playoffs. You get your shit kicked out of you by the Cowboys. Cowboys don't win games, especially in the playoffs, and you lose. Tom Brady ain't exactly being happy. But let me tell you something out there, ladies and gentlemen. Tom's going to be okay. Tom's going to be okay. I don't know if you know this. He signed a 10-year, $375 million contract with Fox Sports, which is the most lucrative ever in sports broadcasting history. So listen, Tom's going to be okay. Now, by the way, why else he'll be okay? Can we just pull up a picture of the model he allegedly is dating? Veronica Rajic, if we can push in a little bit. Now, Nat, you don't think that she's a very classy woman.
I didn't say that.
I think she's gorgeous.
I didn't say that she wasn't classy. I'm just saying based on all the content that we've been consuming, promiscuous, she's in underwear, So it's everybody talks about how, women who are promiscuous and they show too much skin, high value men wouldn't want them. I don't know about you, but you've definitely said, and many people have said, Tom Brady is deemed as a high value man. And he's okay. And if he's going for girls like that, why are other men in this space shocked that women are doing things like that? So it's we say one thing, but then you see the high value men pick women like that. And then it's okay, well, I can see why women post the things that they do. But I don't know the girl. I don't know much about her. They could be having a great relationship, but as you can see, he's obviously struggling in many areas. And if you're comparing the two between Tom and Giselle, Giselle looks very happy in Brazil making the $1 million that she is. And I feel like Tom is struggling with how his season ended. And yes, he's going into another big deal and so on and so forth. But I think there's areas that, like, I think, what do they say? I think it's like women deal with breakups harder at the beginning and then they get over it, and then men deal with breakups later harder. That's from what I've heard. Yeah. So like when you break up with like a boyfriend or your man, like at first the guy's like, oh whatever, like, you know, it's fine, like it's good, and the girl's like, oh, I'm crying, I miss my man, I love my man. And then as time goes on, you know, women, I guess they find themselves again, and then their happiness comes back, and for men their loneliness comes back. So it's like if you're looking at the two side by side, I could see why Tom would be struggling right now. He didn't have the best season. He didn't win. And I could see why he'd be struggling. And then you see Giselle. And that's another thing is like, okay, yeah, Giselle's happy and all, but like, here's my question. Is media and the world pushing these things on her so that it makes it look like, ladies, you don't need a man, leave your man, you know, you can be happy without a man, the world supports you. So there is a little bit of like, yeah, it's great, but is it because you're getting help to make it look great? You know, that's not your average woman's reality. Like if I broke up with my husband and divorced him, like, am I gonna go be on Vogue? Probably not, because I'm not a model, first off, you know what I mean? But there's pieces to it that like as I'm seeing, I'm dissecting, I can see the pros and cons of each. And I think at the end of the day, if you want my speculation and my futuristic, you know, thought, I think they'll come back together.
No.
I think they'll come back together. I think they need some space. They need to do their own thing. I could see them maybe a couple of years down the line, they end up together, or maybe they end up separately and they're happy, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you think about it, you have kids together, you know what I mean? He's done with football at this point, so now his attention is free. That was essentially the reason why they got divorced. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came back together and it happened within, should I put money on this? I wouldn't be surprised if they came back together in like 2 years tops. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, everybody has their own opinion. That's just mine.
Look, for someone that, you know, is looking for archetypes of what a model relationship could be, you know, the Super Bowl winning quarterback and the highest grossing model of all time coming together, the GOAT and the GOAT. There's a great story there of being family man and raising your kids. I just don't see it. So let's have a bet, me and you.
Okay.
Friendly wager.
How
much? One free Celsius.
Okay.
I do not see them coming back together. Let me know. Put that in the chat.
I wouldn't be surprised, but...
Do you see Tom Brady and Giselle getting back together? Now, what I found to be interesting was who they both are speculated to be dating or ended up with. And this is interesting because you know that women are beauty objects where men are success objects. We just talked about on the podcast yesterday being a provider, being a protector, and being present. And I asked one, what is more important about that? And all the women on the panel put protector at the top of the list. Can you defend me? Can you save me from harm? Make me feel good, make me feel safe. I want to have to be able to trust you. So I think it's very interesting who they're both dating. Tom dating that gorgeous girl, Beauty, if we can pull her up again one more time.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's beautiful. Beautiful. Because he's solving for Beauty, whereas Giselle is dating or banging a jiu-jitsu instructor in Brazil. So talk about a protector. So he's solving for beauty, youth, beauty, gorgeousness, this model, where she's solving for someone that can protect me and make me feel safe. People are coming against me. People are talking shit. So she runs to some guy that's obviously not wealthy. He's a jiu-jitsu instructor, okay? He's not exactly the provider type. She doesn't need a provider. She's got the money. But something tells me that he's playing the protective role, and he's at least being present for her. If there's one thing that I've learned since doing the Soscast and these 3 Ps, being provider, being a protector, and being present, which of those 3 do you think Tom was lacking in?
Definitely being the protector.
No. Why? I think he wasn't present.
Oh.
I think he can provide. All good. He's got money. Protector. He's a big, good-looking football player, family man, all good. But he wasn't present. She didn't feel seen. Now, again, this is something that I've struggled with. Of these 3 Ps that I talk about, as a man, being a provider, having wealth, being a leader, being a protector, looking good, right? Projecting strength, being fit, and being present for your woman, basically spending quality time, understanding that women are emotional creatures where men are more logical. I'm very good at being a provider. I understand that. I pay for my girl, take her on dates, all that, all good, pay the bills, no problem with that. Being a protector, being chivalrous, being a gentleman, making them feel safe, whether that's opening doors, pulling out chairs, defending any drama. What I've struggled with is being present, putting down my phone, tapping into emotions. But I feel like a lot of guys struggle with that. And Tom, if you ask me, that's where he lacked in his relationship with Giselle.
I think a lot of high value men and men who make a lot of money and men who spend a lot of time at work lack in the present sense. But it makes sense though. Like, how do you expect them to be present, work and bring home the money and do all these things and then come home and be like, babe, how was your day? How are you feeling? Like, I think Jamie Lee had said something very important yesterday in the podcast. Or no, it was Brody. She said that, if you're not able to, how her family was like, her mom said it was a protector was important, then it was presence, and then it was the provider. Yeah. And I think that's very, very key, because if being a provider was at the top, that relationship wouldn't have worked. So I think a matter of understanding what you want from a man is very important before you go into the relationship. Dating a man like Tom Brady, you have to understand he's probably not going to be present all the time. Like, let's be honest. The guy has a lot on his plate. He's working hard. He's leading a team. He's putting in the work. Like, to expect him to be present all the time is really unrealistic.
Totally agree.
And maybe she was in a point where, for her, that's when presence became important. And that's why she left that relationship. She wanted to go find a man who maybe wasn't so high value, but he was able to give her that presence. Yeah. So, I'm sure there's more things added to why they left each other and what went wrong. But I think at the end of the day, out of your 3 Ps, I think it's important to understand what is most important to you before you get into relationships.
Yeah, I great point by Nat, by the way. Kudos to you on that. Because, arguably he wasn't present. I mean, he's playing football. He's out there. He's not exactly home raising the kids. But here's what I will say. You knew what you signed up for when you walked in the door, Giselle. You knew who Tom Brady was.
Right,
He'd already won multiple Super Bowls. He was already league MVP by the time that you showed up. So don't expect him to be present all the time. Now, what I will say, whether you're a businessman, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a CEO, whether you're just an entrepreneur, whether you're just home working and you're just trying to pay the bills, you need to set those expectations up front and say, hey, listen, I'm not going to be that dude who's home at 5 o'clock for dinner. I'm not going to be that guy. But when I am home, I'm going to pay attention to you.
Right. I agree. But you also have to keep in mind, this is celebrity dating celebrities. This is not like your girl walking around the corner and you meet this guy out and you guys start dating and it's a regular relationship. Like, I think also in celebrity world, you're almost pushed to date like people who are equivalent to your status. And sometimes I think when you're pushed upon that, the pieces of a relationship kind of gets pushed to the side. So it's like, oh, I'm going to date this guy because, the world thinks that we would be a great couple. I actually like this guy. He's a great guy. You forget to think about your Ps, your 3 Ps. You forget to think about what's important, because essentially around you, the world supports the relationship, but you kind of get fogged up of like, is this really what I want? Because now look at them. Now they're looking for 2 different things in their life at this point. So it's like, were you dating because the world made it seem like, oh, it's ideal. The top model in the world is going to date the best football player in the world, quarterback, make it like it looks like the perfect relationship. But at the end of the day, when you have 2 people who are at top scales, then you start to compete. And I think that's where that started going separate. And it's like, you look at them now, they look happy now. You look, Giselle looks happy and she looks dancing in Brazil. Sons of videos are dancing. I think Tom Brady's going through his phase right now where he's had to let go. He's retired. I think he's in a search of new happiness. And I think that's going to take time. I think the world has to be patient with that. And at the end of the day, their lives are for everyone to see. They don't get to deal with anything in private. So I think just being patient, be gracious, and, let them live their life. Be cautious of your opinions when it comes to celebrities, because you don't know what it's like to live your life in the eye of the public. Imagine going out every day. Anything that you do is broadcasted.
Yep.
You can't like shed a tear. Like you can't wear your hair in a bun and look a mess to go to the store for a second to go get a juice or something. So just be mindful of those things. Is that sometimes like the media does control a lot of your relationships in life and your decisions.
Nah, you are on fire today.
Thanks. We're on
and
fire.
I appreciate that. I don't know.
Fire.
I feel like today you're on fire. So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another. Or if you want to watch the entire Soscast, click right here.